All right, guys, welcome to Trading with Meatball. We're not going to brag, but we're going to tell you how we did it and how we figured it out before it happened. If you haven't been here before, I'm just an old man that used to be a stockbroker, and I went through a divorce, so I started trading stocks again, and I had to go back and relearn the whole thing. And I experienced all the scammers and the millionaires with the tattoos and the Lamborghinis and the Rolexes. And they're mostly liars, and they hit you up for Bitcoin at 3 o'clock in the morning to join their inner circle, but there is no inner circle. They just keep pressuring you for more Bitcoin. And so I got scammed, and I lost thousands and thousands of dollars with the paid discords. And so I just started sharing my knowledge for free to anybody who wants it so that you don't get scammed. And we like you to draw lines on charts. And that's the only thing I promise you is that if you want to hang out with me, I'll teach you how to draw your own charts. And then you don't need me or you don't need anybody. I knew a guy who used to just trade off a VWAP line, and that's all he did was sit at home and trade off VWAP while his girlfriend went to work. So let's look at the SPY. And last night on Twitter, and we're still on Twitter, somebody had posted SPY was going to go to 520. And I won't say his name because I like the guy and I respect him because he has an opinion. Most people on Twitter don't have an opinion. They just post stuff after it happened, and they get 300,000 followers for being a news reporter and telling you something that already happened, right? Hey, Bitcoin's at 50,000, rocket ship emoji. Did you tell anybody to buy it before it ran? No. Then why do you have 100,000 followers? It's so stupid. And so I criticize them every day, and I don't care if they hate me. Here was my hot stock tip on Twitter last night, and it says hot stock tip. This is from last night. Don't rush in at the open. We have data tomorrow morning, which we did. And there was a big dump yesterday, in case you forgot. And I gave him a picture in case you forgot. Here's what happened yesterday, big dump at the open. And the funny thing about this big dump at the open is I told them before the market opened, don't rush in. And here I am teasing them about it later. I told them that this could happen on the 12th of March, and it did. And so last night I'm telling them, remember what happened yesterday? Don't rush in at the open. Okay. And I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he's 300,000 followers. He was telling everybody SPY was going to go to 520. Here's what I told my followers in our Discord. Discord's free, guys. I took the link down off the videos, but it's probably still in the profile. I just wanted a handful of guys to trade with, and we have that now. I'm not trying to grow it, but you can join us if you want to. This is what I told them last night at 6:44. There is zero reason for the market to run green again before the FOMC meeting. I was a stockbroker before most of those guys were ever born on Twitter. I'm in my late 50s, and I traded for 7 or 8 years, and it was 25 years ago. But going into FOMC, we don't have any big news. There's no reason for it to run. And I mean, it's possible. Everybody's pushing for newer highs, and everybody wants to see it go to the moon, right? And that is possible. It's also possible that monkeys could fly out of my ass. And so what happened right after the open today? Rug pull. Let's take a look at it. Okay. Let's take a look at it. And so here's the SPY and here's the rug pull. And it was opening up high right up here. And I said, we're going to wait. And that was our plan. We talked about it. I put it on Twitter. We're going to wait. We're not going to rush in. And so we waited. And here we are waiting 15 minutes. And sure enough, on the fourth candle, these are 5 minute candles. 20 minutes in, they gave us a huge dump. And we did not buy puts and we did not chase it. We just waited. Okay. I wanted to see it. That blue zone was something we were talking about in the Discord. It's actually an important level, 515, to see if it gets over to tomorrow. So we waited. I wanted to see it stop. Where does it stop? And I want to see it reverse. And it stopped right on my trend line, which is this blue trend line. And you can draw a trend line, zoom out. You can see where the line came from off of here and here and here. And it's respecting the trend line like a boss. And it gave us a wick and a reversal candle. And it's also at the bottom of one of my zones. And you can learn to draw zones too. And so when it stops at the bottom of one of my zones and gives me a wick at the bottom of the candle, and it shows a reversal, we do read candlesticks, and drawing lines on charts helps, right? So it's wicking off one of my trend lines and reversing at the bottom of one of my zones. And we took the calls and we sold it right back to them and did not hold. Okay. Because I expected violence and they gave it to us, man. And I did the same thing on the Amazon and I caught the Amazon on the second candle, guys, 5 minutes after the open, and I sold it right back to them on the next candle. Yeah, and that was a good one. It was like 40%. It was 50%. I went to sell it and I got 40%. I'll take it. I'm done. Some of the guys did a lot better than me though by buying it again 15 minutes later and riding this trend and selling into this big candle. And we trade too much. Let's talk about it sometimes, okay? And so as she breaks out of the zone, some of the guys took it again, and most of them cut it when it failed the zone to stay green for the day because they had good profits. They weren't going to sit here and hold this thing. But a better setup was later when it did the curl right here. This is higher low than this low. We got a series of higher lows. This one is higher than this one. So it's legging up. And this is a good entry when you get the wicks on the candles and it goes over the VWAP. And you ride the trend in here, not the whole thing, but I advocate taking profits 40, 50%, 30%, sell it. Don't have to get a home run on every one of them. And when they run it all day, like they did the SPY, and you can use things like Ripster's Clouds, shout out to Ripster. You can use a 20-day moving average to hold longer, okay? But guys, we had a plan not to rush in. And you can draw lines on charts, and you're asking, like, how do we know this? How do we know this? The answer is the same. I don't care what the question is, the answer is always the same. Zoom out, zoom out. Okay. And so on the 15-minute, you draw a line along the top of these right here, looking here and here, okay? And then you'll see this morning on the 5 minute when she opened up, where did she open up this morning? Right on the trend line. And I had that trend line this morning and it came from the previous days and the previous highs. It's obviously on a downtrend, and we have a series of peaks that are lower than the previous one. This was the highest one. This one tried and failed. This one tried and failed. And each time it's a little lower. You can see the trend line going down. And so, where did it open up this morning? Right at the trend line. And it's given wicks on the top of the candles. It's rejecting that trend line. And so I'm sitting here saying, no way in hell are we taking a trade on this thing. And then it dumped. And I said, that's great. Let's sit here and watch. Let's wait for the reversal. And then down here, when we see a candlestick with a wick, it's a possible reversal. It could have gone red again at any time. And so we sold into the recovery and we got lucky because it gave us some red. It did go up a little bit more, but the downtrend was there. The trend was in. It was a downtrend. Okay. And so draw lines on charts, and you'll have a better idea of what's going on, guys. And it's taken us for a wild ride, okay? With the ups and downs, they're getting violent, okay? And it's going to continue. So if this is you, maybe you don't want to trade options. They're pretty risky, but this is what I feel like when I'm losing money. And so we try to mitigate those odds and lessen the risk by doing things like drawing zones and drawing lines and selling into 20, 30, 40% profits. And don't worry about the rocket ship emojis. But how are we doing all this? Is it witchcraft? I don't know. I love it when a plan comes together, though, and we had our plan and we stuck to it. Okay, maybe it's a little bit of witchcraft. No, it's not. I showed you how we did it. We draw lines on charts, and we saw that SPY opened up right at the top of my trend line. And so we didn't want to take a trade. We waited. And then when it dumped, we didn't chase it. We waited because waiting is the secret. Okay. Waiting for a good entry, waiting for a reversal, waiting for the dump. And if they dump it like this and you're loading puts and they just turn around and do a hard reversal like they did here at the end of the day, everybody's loading puts and then they reverse it real hard. Get in and get out, guys. That's the secret. Waiting is the secret. Okay. It's a little bit of witchcraft, just a little. Have a good night, guys. Okay. Hey, I always share the whole screen.